Does a recurring pattern emerge in your relationships, where certain individuals persistently seek the same 5 demands from you, leaving you bewildered as to why you repeatedly attract these specific dynamics? This perplexing question cuts to the core of relational patterns, compelling a rigorous self-examination beyond mere coincidence. Carl Jung, with his profound understanding of the human psyche, recognized that the people we attract are often unconscious reflections of our own unintegrated psychological material, particularly the hidden needs, wounds, or shadow aspects within ourselves. Society, often fixated on external dating strategies or superficial compatibility, overlooks the deeper, energetic currents that draw certain individuals into our orbit, perpetuating cycles of unfulfilling connection. To remain oblivious to these internal attractors, to attribute relational patterns solely to external luck or misfortune, is a path that, while offering temporary comfort, ultimately prevents profound self-awareness and genuine transformation. In our most significant bonds, you may find yourself perpetually giving, accommodating, or striving to fulfill specific, draining requests from others, sensing a repetitive loop that exhausts your resources and diminishes your sense of self. This persistent dynamic, the feeling that you are a magnet for people who ask for these 5 specific things, can consume your vitality, breed resentment, and leave you feeling profoundly unfulfilled. This video is not about blaming yourself for external patterns. It is an immersive journey into the psychological principles of relational attraction, a practical manual to identify, interpret, and ultimately transcend the unconscious dynamics within you that draw these specific demands. Prepare yourself, for the wisdom you are about to receive promises a transformative unveiling of your relational archetypes and the true path to attracting reciprocal, empowering connections. The first principle we must grasp, often obscured by our conscious desires, is the principle of the unclaimed shadow of self-sacrifice. This dictates that when we unconsciously disown or demonize our own legitimate needs for self-preservation, boundaries, or receiving, we create an energetic vacuum that attracts individuals who are perfectly equipped to fill that void by perpetually taking. These are the people who constantly ask for your time and energy, draining you because you carry a hidden, unexamined belief that self-sacrifice is inherently virtuous, or that your worth is proven by endlessly giving without reciprocation. They are merely reflecting your own unintegrated shadow of self-neglect. This insidious principle connects intimately with Jung's concept of the shadow, particularly the denied parts of ourselves that crave receiving rest, or even healthy selfishness. When these are repressed, they lead to an imbalance. Consider the archetype of the martyr when it operates from a shadow position, perpetually giving to the point of exhaustion, subtly signaling their availability for endless demands. In ancient narratives, characters who offered themselves limitlessly often attracted those who would exploit their generosity until they were utterly depleted, demonstrating how an inability to receive or set limits becomes an invitation for relentless taking. In the contemporary landscape, this principle manifests with chilling clarity. In professional settings, a colleague who constantly works overtime, never says no, and takes on others' burdens will consistently attract those who dump work on them, asking for more and more of their time and energy. In friendships, a person who is always available for lengthy phone calls or last-minute favors will attract friends who see them as an endless resource, perpetuating the drain. Even in romantic relationships, one partner might constantly sacrifice their hobbies, sleep, or social life to accommodate the other, finding themselves repeatedly asked for more and more emotional and temporal availability. To truly leverage this principle, observe where you consistently feel drained of your time and energy in relationships. Ask, am I unconsciously signaling that my time and energy are limitless, or that my worth comes from constantly giving? Begin to consciously reclaim your right to rest, to say no, and to prioritize your own needs. Identify the hidden belief that self-sacrifice equals goodness. This disciplined practice of valuing your own resources will gradually shift the energetic dynamic, attracting individuals who respect your limits and offer reciprocity. The second shadow principle, often creating immense internal conflict, is the principle of the unwound authority and decision. This posits that when we unconsciously defer our own power, struggle with self-trust in decision-making, or fear the responsibility of leading our own lives, we attract individuals who constantly ask for your advice and direction, seeking your judgment rather than developing their own. These are the people who perpetually consult you, rely on your wisdom, or expect you to make choices for them. Because you carry a hidden, unexamined reluctance to fully embody your own inner authority, they are mirroring your own unintegrated shadow of decisive self-governance. This principle directly relates to Jung's concept of the pure puella eternus, when it manifests as an avoidance of mature responsibility or the shadow of the wise old man-woman, when it projects its power onto others. If we don't own our own inner authority, others will unconsciously fill that void. Recall the mythical figure of Tiresias, the blind prophet, whose counsel was constantly sought by kings and heroes, while he offered wisdom. Those who perpetually relied on him for all decisions ultimately failed to develop their own capacity for sovereign action, becoming dependent on his sight, demonstrating how a deferral of personal authority can create a perpetual demand for external guidance. In modern society, this manifests with heartbreaking frequency. Someone might constantly be approached by friends or colleagues for advice on every small decision, from career choices to relationship problems, even if they possess the capacity to decide for themselves. In romantic partnerships, one person might consistently rely on the other to make all the plans, manage finances, or solve all problems, implicitly asking for constant direction. This pattern leaves the advisor feeling exhausted and responsible for another's life, as their own disowned authority is constantly being projected and externe lilizidi. To overcome this painful dynamic, begin by consciously cultivating your own internal authority. When someone asks for advice, pause, and instead of immediately offering solutions, ask, what are your thoughts on this? What does your intuition tell you? Practice making your own decisions, even small ones, without seeking external validation. Engage in self-reflection to identify where you might fear the responsibility of your own choices. This conscious act of owning your decision-making power will gradually shift the dynamic, attracting individuals who respect your autonomy and seek collaboration, not mere direction. The third shadow principle, often leading to deep frustration, is the principle of the unintegrated shadow of needs for protection and stability. This posits that when we unconsciously repress our own vulnerabilities, deny our needs for emotional safety, or struggle with a lack of personal boundaries, we attract individuals who constantly ask for your emotional and financial stability, seeking you as a safe harbor or a perpetual resource provider. These are the people who lean on you heavily during crises, rely on your emotional resilience, or even seek financial bailouts, because you carry a hidden, unexamined reluctance to Establish clear boundaries and protect your own resources. They are mirroring your own unintegrated shadow of self-preservation and boundary setting. This deep-seated principle is closely linked to Jung's concept of the wounded healer archetype when it takes on too many burdens, or the shadow of the caregiver who sacrifices their own well-being. If we are not firmly grounded in our own stability, we become a magnet for others' instability. Consider the archetype of the rescuer, who, perpetually drawn to crisis, eventually finds themselves drained by an endless stream of individuals seeking their emotional or material support. This constant giving of stability, without conscious limits, leaves the rescuer vulnerable to emotional and financial depletion, demonstrating how an unintegrated need to be strong can attract those who will perpetually lean on you. This manifests profoundly in contemporary life. Someone might consistently attract friends who are in perpetual financial difficulty, always asking for loans or support because they find it difficult to say no to requests for help. In romantic relationships, one partner might repeatedly become the emotional rock for another who struggles with chronic instability, perpetually offering reassurance and managing crises. Even in professional settings, a highly competent and stable individual might find themselves constantly rescuing projects or covering for less reliable colleagues, becoming the go-to person for stability, thereby unconsciously inviting others to lean on them disproportionately. To liberate yourself from this restrictive pattern, consciously acknowledge your own needs for safety, protection, and stability. When someone asks for support that feels draining, pause and ask, am I enabling their instability, or are they truly seeking self-sufficiency? Am I neglecting my own stability by constantly providing for theirs? Practice setting clear financial and emotional boundaries, learning to differentiate between genuine support and enabling dependency. Invest in your own sense of security and stability, recognizing that you cannot pour from an empty cup. This conscious act of prioritizing your own well-being will gradually attract individuals who seek reciprocal support, not constant rescue. If you're finding this profound exploration of relational patterns and their internal roots to be insightful and believe this message resonates with your quest for healthier, more empowering relationships, subscribe to the channel and enable notifications so you don't miss any content that will further empower your journey towards authentic connection. If you feel a persistent yearning to break free from the cycle of unfulfilling demands and cultivate relationships built on mutual respect and genuine energetic balance, know that this inner calling is not a fantasy. It's your authentic self, preparing for a profound liberation, a reclaiming of inherent self-worth, and a truly reciprocal way of relating. There are potent principles and practices that can illuminate this path of autonomy and self-affirmation, empowering you to live with an unshakable clarity and a profound sense of purpose. In the pinned comment, we have made available resources that were carefully crafted for souls like yours, ready to experience their most profound personal revolution. We have begun to unveil the profound truths about why you might be attracting people who ask for specific things, moving beyond external blame to the powerful internal dynamics at play. You've seen how unacknowledged self-sacrifice, unwound authority, and unintegrated needs for protection can subtly draw individuals who demand your time, energy, advice, direction, and stability. But these are merely the foundational insights. Now, we delve into the more complex, yet equally vital, principles that, once understood, unlock even deeper levels of personal freedom and relational wisdom, allowing you to attract connections based on genuine reciprocity and respect. The coming insights are not for the faint of heart. They require a courageous willingness to confront the hard truths of self-awareness. The fourth principle, often camouflaged by a desire for peace, is the principle of the unexpressed truth and emotional avoidance. This posits that when we consistently suppress our authentic feelings, avoid difficult conversations, or prioritize external harmony over internal integrity, we unconsciously attract individuals who constantly ask for your unquestioning agreement or emotional placation, demanding that you suppress your truth for their comfort. These are the people who expect you to always agree, never challenge them, or manage their emotions for them, because you carry a hidden, unexamined fear of conflict or a belief that maintaining peace at all costs is paramount. They are mirroring your own unintegrated shadow of assertive truth-telling. This perspective challenges the common tendency to avoid conflict, emphasizing that genuine connection requires authenticity, even if it leads to discomfort. It is intimately tied to Jung's concept of the persona, particularly when it becomes a rigid mask of perpetual agreeableness and the repression of healthy aggression. Consider the archetype of the people-pleaser or peacemaker when operating from a shadow position, sacrificing their own voice for superficial harmony. In narratives, characters who perpetually bend to the will of others, never expressing their true feelings, often find themselves in relationships where their opinions are disregarded and their emotional needs are unmet, because their silence implicitly signals unquestioning compliance. This profound principle plays out in myriad ways in contemporary life, often unnoticed. Someone might constantly attract friends who dominate conversations or dismiss their opinions, because they never challenge these behaviors, implicitly communicating their willingness to be unheard. In professional settings, an individual might always agree with their boss or colleagues, even when they disagree, leading others to expect blind adherence and to never truly solicit their genuine input. Even in romantic relationships, one partner might consistently avoid expressing their true needs or disagreements to prevent conflict, only to find the other partner gradually takes their silence as a sign of complete agreement and emotional availability, leading to profound imbalances. To embrace the principle of the unexpressed truth, cultivate the courage to voice your authentic thoughts and feelings, even when uncomfortable. When you find yourself about to automatically agree or suppress a dissenting opinion, pause and ask, am I prioritizing external harmony over my own internal integrity? What truth needs to be spoken here, however small? Practice expressing your disagreements respectfully, setting boundaries around emotional manipulation, and allowing for healthy conflict as a natural part of genuine connection. This conscious act of authentic expression will gradually attract individuals who value your true voice and engage with you in open, honest dialogue. Finally, we encounter the most profound and often the most liberating shadow principle, the principle of the unintegrated need for external validation and admiration. This posits that when we carry a deep-seated insecurity about our own worth or an unacknowledged need to feel constantly admired, we unconsciously attract individuals who perpetually ask for your unwavering admiration and ego-stroking, seeking you out as a primary source of validation for their own fragile self-esteem. These are the people who constantly recount their achievements, seek praise, or demand constant affirmation, because you carry a hidden, unexamined belief that your role is to bolster others' egos, or that your worth comes from being seen as a supportive admirer. They are mirroring your own unintegrated shadow of secure self-worth. This intricate principle transcends mere insecurity and touches upon the collective unconscious. particularly the archetypes of the narcissist or the performer when operating from a shadow position. It is the core of codependent dynamics where one person needs to be admired and the other needs to admire. Jung spoke of the inflated ego that constantly seeks external mirrors to maintain its fragile sense of self. Consider the historical figures whose entire existence revolved around public adoration, surrounding themselves with sycophants who constantly affirmed their greatness. Those who were attracted to them often had an unexamined need to be close to power or to gain a reflected glory, creating a draining cycle of constant demand for adulation. This manifests in countless ways in contemporary life, often leaving others feeling exhausted and invisible. Someone might consistently attract friends who only talk about themselves, their achievements, or their problems, constantly seeking compliments and rarely reciprocating interest. A colleague might endlessly present their work for effusive praise, demanding constant validation rather than constructive feedback. Even in romantic relationships, one partner might constantly require the other to affirm their beauty, intelligence, or success, leaving the admirer feeling unseen and undervalued as their role is reduced to a constant source of ego-boosting. 2. Fully integrate the principle of the unintegrated need for external validation and admiration. Cultivate a profound, unwavering connection to your own inherent worth, independent of others' praise. When you find yourself constantly praising or affirming another, pause and ask, am I doing this out of genuine appreciation, or to fulfill their unconscious demand for ego-stroking, perhaps avoiding my own need for validation? Shift your focus from being the constant admirer to actively valuing and celebrating your own achievements and qualities. Practice setting boundaries around one-sided conversations focused solely on another's ego. This conscious act of prioritizing your own secure self-worth will attract individuals who engage in genuine, mutual appreciation rather than perpetually demanding admiration. In the comments below, share which of these 5 principles of attraction resonates most deeply with your own experience, and what small, actionable step you plan to take this week to shift an existing pattern. If this deep exploration of relational dynamics and the profound journey of authentic connection speaks to your soul, subscribe to the channel to continue unlocking the intricate secrets of the human heart and cultivating a more profound understanding of true reciprocity. Your like is a powerful affirmation that this knowledge holds true value, and a clear signal that this journey of self-sovereignty is one worth continuing together.